अब देखो, this is what is global stocktake. 5-year assessment of the world progress, part of Paris Agreement, and this we have already seen. Article 14, okay. Paris Agreement, basic thing you should know, 5-year assessment. Now in climate finance, first just a brief snapshot I'll give you, and then we'll move to the other parts here. See, in climate finance, what you need to know, major thing is Global Environment Facility. In 2001 we had Green Climate Fund. Okay. Now here what we are seeing, there is Global Environment Facility, world's biggest environmental fund, okay, has many donor agencies. After this we'll talk about it. There was a recent GEF summit also, okay. Second is Adaptation Fund 2001, this is related to Kyoto Protocol, gets money from clean development mechanisms. You have Green Climate Fund, this was, the headquarter here is South Korea. Other thing for Green Climate Fund that you should know, $100 billion per year, year is 2010, the COP was 16, Cancun, Mexico, okay. The Loss and Damage Fund, the idea came in COP 19, the fund was set up in COP 27 and operationalized in COP 28. In COP 28 there was also something known as Global Shield Plan, but I've written it outside because it is outside UNFCCC. All these things are within UNFCCC. Altera, inside or outside? Outside. Okay. So first of all, this is the very basics that we should know. And again, because this $100 billion per year was not been achieved, that is why this new collective quantified goal, that is $500 billion. But again, you have to first set up a base for that. Able to understand this? The basic thing that you need to know, outside UNFCCC, Global Shield Plan and Altera, Global Shield Plan was supported by G7 and Vulnerable 20. Okay. Now I'm talking of climate finance. In climate finance, first thing you should know is a green bond. Again, any debt instrument that is used to finance money, that is green bond. The first green bond was issued by World Bank. Okay, so that you can write down World Bank. Second is a Rhino bond. Again, here you see World Bank Group. Conservation of black rhinos. Do you find black rhinos in India? No. Where? Africa. Okay. Okay, just one line you can write down. There is also term no, sorry? Achha, why is it? Is it a property? Right. It could be. I'll have to see. Now, this is what we'll do in slightly more detail. Global Environment Facility, okay, world's biggest environmental fund. Number one thing to know here, it serves as financial mechanism for 5 major conventions, CBD, CCD and FCCC. Other than that, Stockholm and Minamata. But other than that, it is not formally linked, but still it supports Montreal Protocol as well. So first 5 remember, and then after that remember Montreal Protocol as well. Okay, so 5 plus 1, this is directly supported because these are conventions. Other than convention, it will also support a lot of funds. Sorry? Okay, very basic this part. Now it works with a lot of agencies. Notable amongst them are UNDP, UNEP, United Nations Environment, World Bank, FAO, Asian Development Bank. Okay, you don't have to remember, just have a glance once. WWF, Conservation International, IUCN. And other than that, many different banks, African Bank, other banks. That is why it is able to also raise a lot of money. Okay. It also has something known as replenishment cycles, which means again the money will last for a certain time. It will get exhausted next cycle. So these are also known as replenishment cycles. Okay, GEF. Then the recent 7th GEF summit had happened. Okay, no major outcome here, but just remember the recent summit had happened. So because of that, they might ask you something related to it. Okay, the 7th GEF summit had happened. Next, this is something we had discussed partially yesterday. It supports certain funds. We had seen this yesterday, right? Global Biodiversity Framework Fund supported by GEF. Other than that, I also told you this one, CBIT in Paris, Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency, supported by GEF. Nagoya Protocol Implementation Fund, supported by GEF. Special Climate Change Fund, Least Developed Countries Fund. All these are supported by Global Environment Facility. Okay. अभी तो देखा, UNDP is there. I think it is United Nations Environment, or maybe it's an environment program. Okay, till here, पहले तो you're able to follow. Okay. Next, this is Loss and Damage Fund. अच्छा, Loss and Damage Fund में what we'll remember, one, of course, the idea when it was set up and when it was operationalized. Now please note, World Bank has been invited to operationalize the fund as a financial intermediary for an interim period of 4 years. So just write down World Bank, interim period of 4 years. After that, let's see what is going to happen. So this is how, this is the Loss and Damage Fund, and this is how it is being set up. Interim period for 4 years. Okay. Next is World Bank. Before you write this, just write down initiatives supported by World Bank. Initiatives supported by World Bank. This is again, what is World Bank? Is it a UN specialized agency? Yes. Both this and IMF were a part of outcomes of Bretton Woods conference. Okay. This is the economy part. You read about poverty and shared prosperity, ease of doing business, logistics, performance index, etc. For environment, it supports a lot of funds. Okay. So please write down the name of 4 funds I'm telling you. 1, Clean Technology Fund. Clean Technology Fund. Second is Strategic Climate Fund. Strategic Climate Fund. Then there is a Biocarbon Fund. And fourth, where you put a star mark, has already been asked by UPSC. Forest Carbon Partnership Facility. Forest Carbon Partnership Facility. Okay. Other than that, of course, we had already seen, for example, loss and damage fund again being supported by World Bank. Okay. And other than that, you have GEF also supporting. So you find a lot of funds were supported by World Bank and also GEF, Global Environment Facility. Maybe if they want to ask you a question, this can be one of the probable themes, intersection, because the recent summit of this GEF had happened. Okay. And again, 15th COP of CBD or perhaps something related to biodiversity finance, they might ask you. Okay. Sorry. GEF. अब GEF में one of the trustee funds or supporting organizations is already World Bank. ये देखो, World Bank is supporting GEF also, right? This is the new collective quantified goal. Okay, this is the extra money. That is why the term is new. So the extra money that the rich countries need to gather each year starting from 2025. Okay, again, support the action in poorer countries. More than $100 billion, which was the promise, but they could not do it. Okay. Right now, I think just few days back, there was a meeting in Copenhagen, Denmark. Okay, so here some terms related to it were discussed, but again, I'm telling you, this is a more emerging topic. In COP29, we will see a lot more updates on this. But maybe they can ask you, because it's an emerging topic, what is it related to? What is the context? So note, $100 billion is the promise. This says that you have to spend even more than that. That is there. Now, my question to you is, you already had so many funds. Why was there a need of loss and damage fund? There are terms. Say one term is adaptation, one term is mitigation. What is more difficult? Mitigation means you are directly fighting the root cause. There's a problem, you want to eliminate the problem itself. But in adaptation, you are dealing with the impact of the problem. Okay, so let's say if it is very warm, we cannot do anything about the warm. We will just have, let's say, cold water. But mitigation would mean try to do something that the sun disappears, something like that. Okay, so very radical, it requires more money. Now, beyond adaptation and mitigation, there are certain issues which the small island developing states or vulnerable countries face. That they say is loss and damage. Some things that you cannot compensate for, and they are already, let's say some nations are already submerging. For many years, the people of these nations are already run to other countries. So these kind of, let's say, issues. Second, if there is a calamity, natural disaster, because of its location, for that you cannot simply account for. So all of that is going to be covered in the definition of loss and damage. So first, this was agreed in principle in Warsaw. Then finally the fund was created, and of course mobilization will be a challenge. Okay. Then there is something known as the carbon credit trading scheme. Okay, you know what the idea of carbon credits? Okay, so here just very quickly we'll see what this talks about. Ministry of Power has notified the CCTS. Okay, Indian Carbon Market Framework is under the Energy Conservation Act of 2001. My question to you is, tell me one of the famous bodies which is under this act. BEE. Okay, not the honeybee. Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Now, whenever you read about this energy sector, always keep in mind Ministry of Power is one, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy is one. Both are different. Ministry of Power is the nodal authority for this Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Okay, and the act is Energy Conservation Act of 2001. Fine. So here BEE will have to talk about having offset mechanisms, etc. it will also validate the carbon credits. Initially it was only talking about verification. Now not just verification, you also have to validate whether the project was getting done or not, whether the credits have to be given, not given. Okay, and now initially what happened, only obligated entities could buy or trade products. Now what they are doing, they want to expand the scope. So even the entities who are not registered, who are non-obligated, they can also join. In simple terms, I will simply say they are democratizing it. They are including their or increasing the presence. Fine. So this is the carbon credit trading scheme. The idea of carbon credit was under Kyoto Protocol. Can you define what is a carbon credit? Please remember 1 ton, not 1 kg, 1 gram, milligrams, या 100 gram जो भी है, 110, okay, 110 नहीं, 1 ton, okay. And what is Article 6? Carbon credits. What is Article 8? Loss and damage. And Article 14? Okay, okay. So this is what? Carbon credit is a 1 ton of carbon dioxide, etc. removed, reduced or sequestered, right? This is again a simple one-liner. National Carbon Registry. Again you have UNDP. Where all did we see UNDP? Equator Prize and Biofin. Very good. Okay, so just keep on reminding yourself. Now this will be a digital public good. Remember in 2020 there was a question, public key infrastructure. What is that? Yaad hai? Okay. Digital, okay, related to that. Public key, okay. This is a public, digital public good. What is this? It is an open source software which allows the countries to manage national data for trading carbon credits. Open source, managing the national data, etc. Digital public goods can be integrated for national measurement, reporting, verification. So again, it is in that sense more multidimensional. But just remember, related to United Nations Development Program. Debt for climate swap. Gabon was in the news. Up here the idea is very simple. Generally the countries take debt, and what do? They pollute the environment. Here the idea is, if you take a debt, we will incentivize you. So perhaps we'll give you a more concessional loan, perhaps even reduce the interest. So that is the idea of debt for climate or debt for nature swap. Okay. So recently Gabon has taken, where is Gabon? Which continent? Africa. Okay. So this is the basic idea here. Now here please remember, India has not made any such debt for climate swap till now. Okay. India has not made. Gabon has made this 500 million debt for nature swap. Now here, this is Africa. This is Gabon, can you see? And again when you notice, DRC famous for cobalt, 70%. And here this region of Sahel we also saw the Great Green Wall. Okay. And then for IR perspective, there is regions, military coup. Third, China perspective, Somalia, the Horn of Africa. Okay. The movement of ships, etc. That is also important. And then the geography part, etc. The rivers moving, etc. Lakes, Victoria, so on and so forth. Just have a basic idea. From climate change perspective, three things are there. One is Nairobi Declaration, one is Addis Ababa Declaration, and one is Kampala Declaration. Okay. So Kampala Declaration is actually the migration, environment and climate change related. Where is Kampala? Uganda. Okay. And then you also have a Nairobi Declaration. Sorry. Okay, you're telling me that. Okay, so यहाँ पे just a second, let us. Sorry. बता रहा हूँ, just एक second. See, Addis Ababa, basically where is Addis Ababa? Ethiopia. So it was signed by 54 countries, and this is again the 19th African Ministerial Conference on Environment. This happened in Addis Ababa. This was the 19th African Ministerial Conference on Environment. This happened in 2023 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Nairobi Declaration is the first Africa Climate Summit 2023. Nairobi Declaration is the first African Climate Summit of 2023. And the Kampala Declaration is related to environment, climate change, affecting the mobility, the migration part. Okay, so human mobility and climate change. It aims to address human mobility and climate change. So Kampala Declaration again related to Africa continent, but overall we'll remember human environment or the human mobility and climate change. Three things with respect to Africa. This is carbon border adjustment mechanism. It is a key element of EU's, this I made you write down, Fit for 55 in 2030. Here we want to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 55% compared to 1990 level. Okay, and a part of European Green Deal, which is also known as European New Green Deal. Okay, I'll tell you what this actually is. Now this will target cement, iron, steel, aluminium, fertilizers, electricity, many important sectors, right? Now India had flagged concerns. So why did India flag concerns? This we'll understand. Especially the developing countries call this discriminating. True or false? True. In CBAM, carbon, and by the way this is known as words first, carbon border tax. Okay, in carbon border adjustment mechanism, the whole idea is that, let's say in Europe you have better technology comes at more money, so the cost of producing, let's say, one block of steel in Europe is 100. Okay, for simpler, I'm not putting a unit to it, it's a simple 100. Whereas let's say in Bangladesh or any other part where you have more poverty, the same unit can be produced in rupees 50. If you import this unit, let's say in Europe, the customer has two choices: pay 100 for a very high-end company, or pay 50 for a company which is more polluting in nature, but the product is same. So here they say that this is going to distort our markets. So what we will do, we will put a fees or any of the duties on it. The duties will be put to keep this on a level footing. So till now the idea is fine, that it in that sense is a tax that should act as a disincentive or perhaps incentives on these companies to reform and modernize. But again, if you look at from the climate change and climate politics perspective, see, this thing will need money. If US or any other country, or if we get very good loans, or not just loan, I should say grants, why wouldn't the countries modernize? Okay, but the point is all these things take money. So again, India and other countries say that you're not helping us, or at least in Paris, you're not mobilizing money, but then you are now discriminating the products. So first fulfill the responsibilities, adhere to the commitments, and maybe later on we can see something like that. Okay, so initially in between India also wanted to support it on green hydrogen, etc. There's some projects, but it has again overall spoken that this can be discriminatory, and second, we are already following our commitments under the respective protocols. Okay, so that is the whole idea here. For EU, this is what, sorry? This also, yes, but वही discriminatory है, and उससे ज़्यादा तो yes, historical responsibilities, etc. Right, wallets, right. For EU, we'll remember CBAM, Fit for 55, Green Deal Industrial Plan, Global Climate Change Alliance. Okay. Other than that, if you want, we already spoke about General Data Protection Regime, Anything else, if you want, you can even add it. So this is why when you continent wise or theme wise, when you consolidate things in one area, so that helps you remember. Okay. For Addis Ababa, there was an African Ministerial Conference on Environment. This actually happened in Addis Ababa. That is why the Addis Ababa Declaration had come up. Okay. This is the Green Credit Initiative. Okay. Now here there are, what will be the part of credit system? This is important. 8 things: tree plantation, water, sustainable agriculture, waste management, air pollution reduction, mangrove conservation, restoration, eco marks, and sustainable building and infrastructure. Okay. What is a green credit? Again, when you do any of these activities, you will get a credit. And this is very diverse. If you compare green credit versus carbon credit, can you tell me the difference? Carbon is very specific. It is incentivizing a lot of these things. Again, voluntary, pro-planet people, which is why you talk of mission life. Acha, mission life, see, these are 8, and in mission life you have 7 themes. Save energy, reduce waste, reduce e-waste, healthy lifestyle, sustainable food systems, say no to single plastics, save water, amongst few things. So these are 7 and these are 8.